Sometimes it's really difficult to understand with our third dimensional linear thinking what ascension means and what shifting to higher levels of consciousness means. So I would like to explain that a little bit, what is ascension and what is energy transcendence. And if you hear any weird noises in the background, apologies for that. There are some construction works going on nearby and there's nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. But without any further ado, let's get into our video. Everything that we are experiencing in the society right now serves as a catalyst for our ascension from the third dimension to the fourth and then to the fifth dimension. I talk about this in more detail in my video called Shifting to the Fifth Dimension, but I will repeat myself. So when you decided to come to the third dimension, you came with a purpose. The purpose was to understand who you are and find out who you are. And it's not even about finding yourself, it's about remembering who you are, because you came with a spiritual amnesia. You don't remember where you came from, you don't remember who you are in reality. So you are basically here to remember by incarnating into a physical body that will keep you limited in the third dimension. Everyone is talking about the fourth dimension, fifth dimension, third dimension, but no one is really talking about the second dimension. So what is really making the difference in between the second dimension and the third one is that there are two polarities. There's good and bad. Good and bad only existing in our perception because nothing really has a meaning. We give a meaning to it. So there's good and bad and there's positive and negative. But in the second dimension, there's no really observer or experiencer of these two polarities. So basically they cannot exist if there's no one to experience them and observe them and to be aware with them. So that's why you need the third dimension when you come in picture as an observer and experiencer of these two polarities. And it's an amazing opportunity for you as a spirit and a soul to have an incarnation in this third dimension. Whenever I listen to channelings or people channeling souls that have crossed over and are talking about their experiences on planet Earth, they always say that having an incarnation here is like winning the lottery. It is not an easy process to ascend from the third dimension to the fourth and then to the fifth. So always remember that and honor yourself for choosing this experience. And remember when you are going through hardships that you have actually chosen this time to be alive on the planet. And we are always choosing a period of time that will serve us the best in experiencing ourselves fully. Going back to what ascension means, ascension is really regaining our true nature, our wholeness, and understanding that we are not this body, we are not a physical body, we are light bodies in reality. And with our third dimensional thinking, when you think about ascension, you always think about physical transformation. And it's really not about physical transformation. Ascending to a higher level of consciousness means that you are still being alive in this earth plane, you are still existing here, but certain things are no longer part of your reality. They cannot trigger you, they cannot cause you any discomfort. You are walking on the street and seeing houses, seeing buildings, but you are no longer seeing them in the same way as you saw them in the third dimension. Let's put it this way, with everything that is going on right now in the world with this pandemic, those that are still having the third dimensional thinking and consciousness, they identify themselves with their bodies much more than those that are in the fourth dimensional thinking and consciousness. And they tend to be more fearful about getting infected. And because third dimension is based on physical, and this body-based consciousness implies for people to believe that they can be harmed by outside influences, because everything is happening outside themselves and they have no control over those things. So for a third dimensional perspective, the body is the driver, the body is the captain of the ship. And it can be harmed by other bodies, by other physical influences. So for example, you are in a room and someone walks into the room who is infected. And you believe with your third dimensional perspective that their body can infect your body because the transmission happens from one body to another body. This is third dimensional physical perspective. And if you get infected, your health might be in danger. And if your health is in danger, you might lose your life. So the third dimensional perception is that if life ends, the physical body dies, that is the end of your existence, and that is the end of life itself. So that is the reason why those people that are focused on their bodies are also focused on survival, on the survival of the physical body. Now, with higher levels of consciousness and higher understandings of your existence, and I'm talking about fourth and fifth dimensional perspectives, the third dimensional limited and linear perception of the time as well changes. So time becomes somewhat non-linear, and then also the physical perception changes to quantum physical and metaphysical. On these higher levels of consciousness, you still identify yourself a little bit with your body, but not as much as you did in the third dimensional consciousness. And by identifying yourself with your body, I don't mean that you are not aware whatsoever with your body anymore, or you're having these out-of-body experiences all the time. No, it's not about that. It's just becoming less and less interested in physical stimulations and activities that involve focusing on your physical body and your physical existence. Now, following the same example that I gave about the third dimensional thinking about infections, having a higher level of consciousness, fourth or fifth dimensional consciousness, you can walk into a room which is full of people that are ill and still not be afraid of being infected. And why is that? Please don't get me wrong, I don't want to encourage anyone to do that. I'm just giving these examples to demonstrate the difference in between the third dimensional consciousness and fourth and fifth dimensional consciousness. So the reason why you are not afraid that your body will be infected by other bodies or be harmed is because you don't identify yourself with your body. You know that your physical body is just a vessel, and it responds to everything that you hold in your mind about your reality, about yourself. Your mind and your soul are the captains of your ship, and it's not the body. And that is an amazing realization, because whatever belief you're holding in your mind about yourself can cause you physical symptoms and actually illnesses, then it means that you can heal any illness by changing the perception about yourself and changing the beliefs about yourself in your mind. And this understanding goes beyond the human five senses perception and the perception of the material reality. It's also the understanding of the fact that the death of the physical body is not actual death. Life cannot be destroyed because we are not our physical bodies. Our life doesn't end, and our existence doesn't end with the death of our physical bodies. The idea is that these higher levels of consciousness and higher dimensions are not only based on the five senses that humans have. In order to experience them, you need the sixth sense. You can call it intuition, you can call it a higher knowing, an inner wisdom. As a collective, we are currently in search for this inner wisdom, inner knowing that we came with, but we have forgotten because we have chosen to forget. And all these meditation, yoga practices, and the fact that people are getting more and more interested in these things are showing that we are going through an ascension process. And some of us are doing it consciously, some of us are doing it unconsciously, but we are in search for this inner wisdom, and we are having these practices in order to feed our light bodies. We are gaining control and taking control over our thoughts and our emotions. This is a great sign of us going from the third dimension to the fourth dimension. And actually on the 21st of December 2020, we have just completed our third dimensional cycle, the age of Pisces, and we have moved to the age of Aquarius. Maybe in the future I will do a video about this as well, to talk about these things from an astrological perspective. For now, these were my thoughts about this whole ascension process, my understanding and my explanation about the difference in between the different dimensions. I really hope that this video was helpful, and always remember to take only what resonates with you and leave the rest behind. Thank you so much guys for watching. I appreciate you as always. If it resonated, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on uploads like this in the future. Always be true to yourselves, take care of yourselves. I wish you an amazing week, and I will see you in my next video.